The Bitcoin Group, the American original. For over the last 10 seconds, the sharpest Satoshis, the best Bitcoins, the hardest cryptocurrency talk. We'd like to welcome our panelists. Blake Anderson from Facebook.com/GotBlake.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me in the battle arena.
Gabriel D Vine from Future Rant.
Greetings and salutations, spirits in the material world.
Tone Vays from Brave New Coin.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be back on the show.
Theo Goodman from Hass Online.
Good evening, everyone.
And I'm Thomas Hunt from the World Crypto Network. We'd like to welcome our viewers from the World Crypto Network and Bitcoin.com. Moving on to Issue 1. Issue 1. Bank of England to launch its own cryptocurrency. The bank seeks a hybrid cryptocurrency model where it radically shifts from traditional cryptocurrencies by centralizing the money supply. The bank claims it will have all the features of Bitcoin, while outside researchers claim it will lack the security gained by the Bitcoin network from rigorous public testing. The Dutch are also working on their own blockchain-based cryptocurrency. Blake Anderson, your thoughts on RS Coin?
Well, there's only two things that I really hate. People, just arbitrarily hating a group of people for no reason, and the Dutch. So I got to get that out of the way right away and state that I have a bias there that I need to expose. Yeah, I mean, state-sponsored cryptocurrency really pushes the bounds of not getting it. I mean, if they really wanted to go all the way back and be like, we're going to have an actual monetary policy that's going to be, decentralized, and then we're going to stick to that and make it so, from the full stack, we're going to implement the actual value proposition here. But if you're not doing that, it's like, okay, well, maybe we'll get some kind of a semantic, better clearance rate at some point down the line that'll save a couple of cents here and there. But it's definitely implementing something in just totally the wrong way and then expecting to benefit from, I don't know, almost missing the point completely. We could go through and really dissect why that is, but I think that a lot of the viewers of this show probably are familiar with, why the way that they're talking about implementation is not necessarily capturing the full, breadth and width of the value proposition that is Bitcoin.
Gabriel D Vine.
These are meaningless, basically press gathering exercises, and it's essentially propaganda. And I really think that the gentleman from Next, David Mondras, that was interviewed for this article, thank goodness, put it best at his quote at the end of the article when he says, I'm convinced banks can use blockchain technology, but tearing out the essentials to do it is certainly not the way. It either shows a lack of understanding of the principles or an unwillingness to use the tools as they are meant to be. Basically, these banks are up shit creek. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know anything about Bitcoin. They don't know anything about the things that really matter in Bitcoin, and so they're just spinning out this nonsense. Nothing will come of it. As Blake said, they might save a few cents here and there, but essentially Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is a way to disintermediate trusted third parties. They are a trusted third party. So for them to use this technology that's meant to disintermediate them is not only useless, but actually logically impossible.
Tone Vays.
I mean, I completely agree with Blake and Gabe, but didn't we just do this with China like 2 months ago or something? And there'll be more countries next. And what I keep saying is, all these countries, they already have a digital currency. It's their local currency. It is like 95% digital. There is just some paper hanging around that is really bothering the hell out of all these nations, because we're all money launderers and we're all tax cheats. And it's the fact that there is paper currency that is stopping them from solving all of our problems. And this is just another attempt for all these governments to eliminate paper currency, and they're just using the latest technology buzzwords to help them get there. This has nothing to do with Bitcoin. This has nothing to do with the blockchain. It's actually embarrassing to equate the two. I just see it as another attempt by central bankers to get rid of cash so they can have full control of the monetary policy instead of 95% control of the monetary policy. And their reasons for doing it, they actually had the goal to say it will make it more transparent for the institution printing the money. I mean, that's hilarious. I mean, they can make the current system as transparent as they want. It's all digital. There's nothing stopping them from doing so now. It's just completely disingenuous. It's a cross between being disingenuous or completely clueless. I'm leaning towards just disingenuous, but never rule out the stupidity of those that work for government or the educators from institutions advising government. So that's all I have to say on that.
Theo Goodman.
Well, yeah, I guess that we're all in agreement. It's an amazing, thing that happens here sometimes. But what I would say is that definitely, hey, we're still relevant. We're still here. So we got also a cool blockchain thing, and we even have a Bitcoin thing and a blockchain thing. So we're really relevant. We're really cool, and I think that's what it's a lot about. And hey, hats off, golf clap to whoever sold them this and you made a lot of money probably selling them this thing. I don't know, whatever. So you want to donate? Maybe you want to donate to World Crypto Network, whatever consultant you are, because I don't know what you sold them, but I'm sure they paid something for it. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, like everyone said, if you centralize it, then what's the point, really? You're missing the whole point. And yeah, you already have digital money. Everyone uses online banking and uses databases and all that stuff. So
they paid somebody $50,000 to show them how to use GitHub.
Yeah, but just repackaged in a really cool way with some nice PowerPoints and good speaker, good sales guy. They got whoever got Bank of England in their sales funnel. Hats off to you.
That's a very good point, Theo. And remember, during the gold rush, it wasn't the miners that made all the money. It was the people selling the shovels. So I think we've just seen that again. Exit question. RS coin will be vaporware. That is to say, it will never be released. Yes or no? Blake Anderson.
It's not going to be vaporware. I think it'll become, it'll be released, and I just don't think it's going to function the way that they think that it will. And if it did, it would be Bitcoin.
Gabriel D Vine.
I don't think it's vaporware, and I do think it'll be released, and it will be priced by the market accordingly, aka zero.
Tone Vays.
No, I don't think it'll be released because it's just silly. They'll just turn the pound into a completely digital currency and get rid of the cash component. Why would they have a new name for their government currency other than the currency of the government?
Theo Goodman.
No, it will be released. This is symboling the beginning of the true New World Order where all money is tracked. We are doomed.
The answer is yes. RS coin will be vaporware. It will never be released. It's just another bank project. Issue 2. Major sites, including the New York Times and the BBC, were hit by Bitcoin ransomware and a new trend known as Malvertising. The hackers inserted the malware into multiple ad networks using vulnerabilities in Microsoft's now defunct Silverlight player. The situation is complex and fascinating, with fault lying both on the side of the insecure computers and the existence of a useful digital currency which acts as an accomplice in the crime. I ask you, Gabriel D Vine, is Bitcoin responsible for this new trend in malvertising?
I'm going to say yes. And that may be a contentious viewpoint in the sense that advertising itself is the problem here. Bitcoin is the solution in not only one way, but many ways. So first of all, I think it's just hilarious that Silverlight is involved in this story because that is the most useless bloatware, malware project
Hey,
you've ever
whoa,
heard of.
I still use it. I still use Bonsai Buddy in my start menu. I don't want to hear any of this opinionated stuff. I just want the facts.
This is Clippy, 2.0. Silverlight, it's completely useless. All it is Microsoft muscling, corporations to come into exclusive contracts with them to replace an already existing totally security vulnerable project called Flash from Adobe. Totally useless and unnecessary duplication of that exact same functionality. And of course, it's already been out of commission for 3 years, but they're still releasing security patches because it's such a piece of crap and such a security vulnerability. And the other thing that I think is interesting to mention in this article, besides the Bitcoin angle, is what's the political motive, of the individuals that did the attack on specifically Western media outlets who are known propaganda mouthpieces for these, hypocritical and totalitarian governments. So I think it's really interesting to see. I wonder if, it's could be other governments, it could be, anonymous, could be anybody.
So it's an equal mix of villains and heroes that have identified what to do here.
Yeah, exactly. I think so, and that's always interesting when you see a project like this where they're collaborating. But I think it's also just amazing, as you pointed out, that Bitcoin is a type of accomplice in this situation, and we've got this completely maladjusted web economy based on this advertising issue, which has so many problems to it. It completely corrupts the content models and enables and encourages propaganda and totally useless transmittal of information and many other problems. Bitcoin, as a micropayments platform for access to content, is touted rightly so as a solution to this problem in our culture. But it's great to see that there's indirect ways that Bitcoin can also take down the advertising behemoth with ransomware attacks on media outlets. So it's pretty fun to watch, and I'm sure there will be more vectors of attack on the advertising paradigm from crypto in the future.
Tone, Vays.
All right, so it's you're kind of blind. You have to give Bitcoin a little bit of blame, but the amount of good that Bitcoin brings to the world completely outweighs the negative. Yes, it enabled this particular malware that now allows the hackers to extort money from the people that they hack, unlike before where they can only steal information or just mess with people's computers. So yeah, Bitcoin will take a little bit of blame for that, but it's also going to lead to a whole revolution in digital security. And if hospitals are getting hit by this, then they need to invest a little more in their digital security. Same thing with police stations especially, and same thing with people. So I think the entire model of what people store on their computers is going to change, along with what Gabriel was saying, that these companies need to take security more seriously with things like Silverlight and some of these other ones. But going back to what you store on your computer, so I am fully aware of CryptoLocker, and this is how I protect myself. So I have a Microsoft Surface that I use as my normal computer. Yes, I understand it's Windows, which is a major vulnerability, but you know what? I don't store anything valuable on this computer. I use it every day. I use it all day long, and I make an attempt not to store anything valuable on it, so that if it ever got crypto-lockered, I'll just reformat the hard drive, and hopefully, I back up the few pictures that I have on there, and probably the biggest thing I will lose is the websites that I have saved. But there's really nothing valuable on there. There's no bitcoins on it. There's no important files. I mean, I back up a few documents that I write every now and then on a USB drive, and that's it. In addition, the way it will lead to security is people won't be storing anything valuable on their personal computers. and it's not a good idea to really store anything valuable in the cloud unless it's encrypted. And I think this has a lot to do with what Apple and Google are now trying to do to fight the government for privacy. And if Apple and Google are able to pull it off and they're able to actually provide privacy to the end user, then people like me will be more comfortable with easily encrypting all of our files and storing them in the cloud. And then, or on Google Drives or whatever. I personally don't use that stuff because I don't find it secure at all. And I don't have the expertise or I guess I'm lazy to encrypt it on my own and put it there. So right now I don't, but I think in the future, these companies will provide full encryption and full privacy to the end user so that we don't have to store everything in our computers for something like this to attack us.
I just use the cloud and then my security is guaranteed forever.
I think Tone does make a good point here. Everyone should always have backups. If you haven't backed up your computer in a while, you don't have a backup hard drive, get one now. Back it up now. Most of these crypto locker situations could be solved by reverting to the backup drives, but the problem is if these companies or hospitals or police stations haven't been backing up regularly, they would lose the last 24 hours of user work or worse. So that's why they're tempted to pay the ransoms or try to unhack their machines. So back up now. Back up. Theo Goodman, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm ready now that I've backed up my computer, as he said that. But yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to add except as far as what Gabe was talking about, as far as the advertising situation that we're in, as far as the web. Well, the only way out of that is people just have to pay for shit, basically. So as long as we're not willing to pay for anything, then they're going to be ads, because that's how it works. So right now, ad revenue is the model, and the basic way for that to change is people pay for things. So as far as crypto locker and all this other kind of stuff, again, someone's making a lot of money, and it's a lot of the people that are fixing these computers and getting called in. You know, here they're getting a nice little chunk of cash for solving all the problems. So if you want to save money, back up your computer. It's a lot cheaper.
And Theo's right. You can pay almost any website with ProTip at protip.is. It's open source, free, uses Bitcoins. All the content creator has to do is copy and paste their Bitcoin address anywhere on their web page, SoundCloud, YouTube, anywhere. And this is open source and free. Anyone could build on this, add to it. It's really great. Protip.is. Blake Anderson.
Well, I just wanted to expand on my thing about the cloud. I mean, the cloud is great. It's a consequence-free area where you don't need to worry about who has access because everything in there is just secure. It goes to a location that's not even real, so like, how could anybody get to it? No, I'm being maximally sarcastic about the cloud. It's funny. That's what it's sold as to many people. And then you get there and you're like, what did you think this was? And then they tell you the sales pitch they heard, and it's like, holy shit.
I've seen a great sticker that says, "Today I learned the cloud is really just someone else's hard drive."
Right,
Yeah, exactly.
which is why I said I would never ever use it until I know the data is encrypted, so nobody else can see what I have in there.
Yeah, or hashed or some kind of, extremely multi-sig, if it's going to be out there, it's got to be, the equivalent to how you get secure information in a box that's put in Times Square. It's got to have a really nice lock on it. You can't just have a also when you're in Times Square.
You need to put some data on there that's just not encrypted and looks really noob and pleb and just really normal. Put some vacation pictures up there. Then it's like there's no red flag. You're going to look weird because you don't have anything in the Google Drive. So just put some, nice pictures of flowers or whatever, and then you fit in normal. Make a Facebook account, do some stupid shit, whatever. Then you look really normal. You're going to set off all kinds of triggers when you don't have that.
Yeah, so basically the robot virus will look through your, it'll shell your stuff and look through it and be like, oh, the pleb scum has nothing of value. And it will leave, but really you've got, microfiche scans and some kind of a sublayer of an Adobe document. And ha! But anyway, I mean, yeah, does Bitcoin enable things to happen that couldn't happen before? Well, that's a really doozy of a question, especially if you take it out of the specific context. There's a book by Walter Block, Defending the Indefendable, and it goes into the pure, like, anarcho market, pure, internet, like what's good and what's bad, what actually is going to go and harm people, and what's just really kind of shitty behavior, but doesn't really go and harm people. And one of those things is the person that's the blackmailer. Well, blackmail is very, very similar to a situation in which you block and lock somebody's information that really you could have deleted. You could have deleted it, but you didn't, and you give them the option to secure their stuff for a financial payment. And is that defendable? And I used to have a position where I thought it was really indefensible. I still lean towards that. But the first time I ran against somebody with a different solution, I reacted very emotionally to it, saying, hey, blackmail is indefensible, it's a terrible thing. But then the more that you hear about it in the market, relationship that equalizes out with it, it kind of becomes something that's understood as something that's galvanized against more in a situation where it's assumed that it can happen, and people are almost harmed by a situation wherein it's tried to be prevented. And there's other situations that's illustrated really, really easily. It's really hard to illustrate the net value of blackmail. It's probably one of the absolute hardest indefensible things to really defend logically. But at the same time, there is some kind of a value proposition around, well, it's better that they got hacked sooner than later. The damage could have been, infinitely worse if the things were just deleted instead of there was an offer.
Are you referring to Walter Block?
Yeah, what did I say?
Yeah, I was just making, you said Dr. Block, you meant, okay, just wanted to make sure you meant.
And this would almost be a good, maybe extended chapter or an add-on thing. Look, there's this new situation that's come about. It's not killing people or, clearly violating their negative rights, but it is very, very controversial behavior, and it would be fun to study the market impact in different ways versus the impact on individuals and how courts should or shouldn't be involved in this new paradigm that really has been brought about as a result of this new currency.
All good points, and I think it's important to stress while Bitcoin didn't directly cause this malware, like Tone said, it does kind of play a role because previously all hackers could do was steal your information. Maybe your information happened to be your credit card. They could inconvenience you. They could shut you down. They could ruin your computers, but now they have a monetary incentive to ruin your computers. They could actually get paid, and not really from, it's a complex ransom, but they can ransom a whole lot of computers. They can do it efficiently. They can scale this now, as they say.
And this goes definitely into the area where I keep saying, DACs and autonomous corporations are great and stuff, but while we're working on the theory of that, not just getting excited, we can also work on the theory of trying to mitigate the disaster of sophisticated, decentralized autonomous traps that go out and do bad things. That has to be worried about, as well as the things that go out and promote good behavior.
Yeah, no, also, I think this is going to lead to a lot of great things. Like I said earlier, I just want to emphasize real quick, it's going to lead to this whole level of innovation for security of people's files, and the only way to really do it is with encryption, and I love it. I think the crypto locker is going to have people think twice about where their data is and who else can see it. So I think this is going to lead to a lot of great things for privacy because of crypto locker.
Very good. I just want to say we're listening to your comments in the chat room. If you have a comment or a question, go ahead and post it in there. Theo is monitoring the chat. Theo, what's going on in the chat so far?
Well, we do have one comment about advertising. Just one moment. And I think that I would tend to agree with it. Dan Anderson says monetization is what allows content to be produced. GTFO. So, I mean, yeah, that's true. It's just a matter of, how can we change that? In my opinion, yeah, the way to change that, how it's monetized through advertisement, is that people actually pay for something. And he also says, if you got a problem, here's the solution, back it up, back it up, back it up. So I think that's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that, yeah. And, blend in, act casual, buy BankCoin are the comments we have so far. But that's pretty good so far. So if you have a question, we'll try to get to it by the end.
And I guess, I mean, if I could just jump in really quickly on the question, as far as the solution to advertising, I mean, I didn't think that we meant to imply that advertising is a net loss everywhere, but there's systems that can be fundamentally rearranged so that people are using like microtransactions like ProTip or something like that to actively subscribe to things that they like. For example, there's a channel called Can't Stump the Trump on YouTube. It's hilarious. It's hysterical satire making fun of the election. And like there'll be 200,000 views very, very, very quickly. This is a new channel, and it gets that many organic views. It's like, let's see, this looks like something that would be, you know, really, really, really funny just as a result of the amount of support it's gotten. To actually directly try to fund stuff like that, you'll have much more entertaining content around it. Just, you know, whatever's on MSNBC, the safe milquetoast, you know, kind of circus that's there. So I think that, you know, advertising is not completely bad. It's just gotten into a bad way that needs to be untied.
Well, I'm also going to weigh in on a comment real quick. I mean, this came about because the users ended up getting malware from clicking on advertisements from NewYorkTimes.com, right? Am I understanding it correctly? The problem?
Yeah, so Bill O'Reilly's happy about all of this.
No, actually, there was, I believe the malware was targeting the employees and the internal on the internal networks of these media outlets.
Okay, for some reason I thought it had to do with end user seeing the advertisements. But again, right, this goes back to the security model in that if it's a website like Time Magazine or something else serious, don't just take random code for an ad. You know, get some programmers and get some real security to put the ads on there, right?
No, I was wrong about that. They targeted the media sites in order to deliver the malware to their users.
Right.
Yeah, my understanding was parallel with Tone's.
Right. So, I mean, do a better job of, you know, making sure that the advertisements you're showing to your users are actual advertisements and not malware. I mean, the responsibility is going to fall with the company whose website it is.
It was like a paragraph of code. I don't know what the fuck it was. I published it instantly.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on to the exit question. Exit question. Will the media continue to blame Bitcoin for malvertising? Yes or no? Gabriel D Vine.
Yes, very much so, until they're all disintermediated by microtransaction media outlets.
Tone Vays.
The media is going to be blaming Bitcoin for everything. This is just one small thing in a long line of excuses for why Bitcoin is destroying the world, and we'll get to that in a later question.
Theo Goodman.
Oh, yes, definitely. They're going to use that as a headline in order to get traffic to their website so they can show more ads for people to click.
Blake Anderson.
I don't know. We don't really have any monetary incentive for being here. All of us, we're just kind of, you know, saying our opinions. So they're all going to steal this data. So I'm going to say no, they won't, because it's not a very good idea, man. And I wouldn't even dream of it because it's just a waste of time.
The answer is yes. Malvertising is the new Silk Road for Bitcoin. And now the plug. Don't forget to shop with your Bitcoins, Litecoins, and even Ethereum thanks to Shapeshift at purse.io. Sign up today to save 20% off Amazon. I just bought a new Kindle, some new shoes, and even a blender. All right there on purse.io with Bitcoin. And from Amazon, too. Yes, it's true, Virginia. You can shop on the internet with Bitcoin and save money, too, at purse.io. Issue 3. Are any altcoins currently useful? No, says Monero developer Riccardo Spagni. Altcoins, long called by many the great laboratory of cryptocurrency, a metaphor going back to the theory that the states are meant to be the great laboratory of democracy, has sparked discussion lately with Ethereum and other tokens' values skyrocketing. But let us return to Earth and here and discuss the matters raised by Mr. Spagni in this honest and straightforward interview. Altcoins. What are they good for? Tone Vays.
They're not good for anything. I don't even know how to elaborate on this. He's absolutely right. I'm starting to have way more respect for Monero. It's not that I didn't have respect for Monero before. I just didn't know anything about Monero before. He's right. I mean, go read that article. It's going to be in the show notes. I don't know what else I can add. If it's a straight up altcoin, I mean, the developers can play around. It's great. Maybe the Bitcoin will mess up in the future. Who knows? But then, how do you know which altcoin is going to become popular? You just don't. Friendster could have taken over from MySpace and not Facebook, right? I mean, we just don't know. But so if it's just a straight up altcoin, it's useless other than some features that may be incorporated into Bitcoin. If it's a non-altcoin project that decided to tokenize, and I can't believe you guys added Ethereum, but I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there. I'm just gonna
It's Shapeshift, dude. We have 40 other altcoins as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
Shapeshift. Yeah, Shapeshift.
We have BlackCoin and I don't know, all kinds of other ones.
Shout out to-
Shapeshift pays them Bitcoin, so they don't care.
Okay. Then it's fine. Now, if it's a non-economic value transfer project that decided to tokenize, then I still don't see a use for it. Like, I don't want to get into an Ethereum discussion, or Factom, or Augur, or BitShares, or I can go on and on and on. I think the idea to tokenize it is dangerous and stupid. But
they're all going to pass Bitcoin.
There's no use.
They're all going to pass Bitcoin.
Of course, yeah, all at the same time. They're all going to trump it. Yeah, no, there's really no use for altcoin. Maybe in the future, I doubt it, but no. Let's go read the article. He's right.
Theo Goodman.
So the question is, do altcoins have a use? And I would say definitely they have a use. Altcoins
trading.
Altcoins are, some of the best betting chips that exist currently and have one of the lowest entries. So, anyone can speculate on altcoins. I mean, you probably need a little bit of Bitcoin first, so that's pretty much the barrier. But, to get on an altcoin exchange, it's a very low barrier to entry. There is much less or no regulation compared to penny stocks. So if you like penny stocks, then and you think you wanted to trade them, well, just forget that, because government shuts those pump and dumps down all the time. Just go to altcoins, 24/7, 365 days a week, pump and dump. There you go. Altcoins are back. Now, in the meantime, there's that tech stuff involved with them. Now, all that's features and all that cool stuff. And actually, some of it is good and has some kind of merit somehow. Now, it doesn't have a use. Well, one use is to air gap your Bitcoin transactions using Shapeshift or another. So, you just go Bitcoin, altcoin, Bitcoin. Bam! It's a little bit of an air gap. That's pretty high-tech security right there. So that's one use. That's a use. That's a real use that I think needs to be. The other use is to be an alternative that is active with a stable blockchain. So, some people said, Theo, you said Litecoin is good or something in the comments. Well, the reason I said it's good is because it has a really high hash rate. It's been around a long time. People know it. I mean, really, if you had a real shit hit the fan situation, that is the next one with the highest hash power as far as I know. Now, if Ethereum has the highest hash power now, I don't know. But it doesn't matter. That it does, and it's been around really long. It's probably the next one as far as that. Now, okay, it doesn't have all these bells and whistles and super duper features and smart contract thingies that nobody uses and all that kind of stuff. But, whatever, that's a use of it. Now, of course, the other uses are experimental, DAO, smart contracts, side chainy thingies, and all that kind of stuff. And we'll see if that has a use and if that's going to be integrated into Bitcoin or other blockchains with high hash power. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But as far as crypto is concerned, you need to be around for a while because things come and go very fast.
I think Theo makes a really good point here that altcoins are pretty much an unregulated gambling market. And even if you're underage and you'd like to gamble, which we're not suggesting, we are saying that altcoins are available to you. Blake Anderson.
So underage gambling gets to be what I'm gonna be like. Yay, altcoins and underage gambling. Well, before I take up,
You kids can lose your future before you even have one. It's fantastic.
Don't just let the older generations mortgage your future. Get a load of Lucky 7 coin. No, let's say hello to Chris Ellis here, who decided to grace us with dropping by. How goes it, Chris?
Yeah, good, man. I was just really enjoying this topic, and so I was watching it, and then I thought I'd jump in here. So anyway, you go ahead.
I wanna hear from you first, because I like to have the last word, and I wanna be contrarian.
Okay. Yeah, I do have a view on this. I think that they were for a while a good place for laboratorial, discoveries, and obviously, one of the first people to get on Feathercoin. Feathercoin was the first cryptocurrency to really kind of bring it out to a wider audience. Then you had Dogecoin that did Feathercoin even more and got it even to an even broader audience. And so they certainly drove up awareness. The problem is, as Gregory Maxwell points out from Blockstream, is that really all that happens is the community managers of these coins end up chasing speculator sentiment. And so they're all about announcement threads. They need to get an announcement on the Bitcoin Talk forum, then they need to get another announcement to say that they've got micropayments working, then they need another announcement to say they're getting into Africa somewhere or they're doing something. And there doesn't need to be any real substance to any of these announcements. What's important is that they stay top of mind, that people kind of invest in them thinking they're going to go up in value. What's the point? The point is that people don't really care about the altcoin itself. They care about the dollars. They're using the altcoin as a vehicle for increasing their purchasing power net, right? So Litecoin has really always just had one strategy: get on another exchange. Just get on the next big exchange, increase the liquidity, drive lots of speculation leading up to that adoption, get the price to go up with the halving. Went up to like $8. It went up to $48 when Max Kaiser, announced that it was going to go up to $50, a couple of years ago. And really, it's just a very arbitrary way of distributing wealth. So I think that we talked to Toshi about this in yesterday's show about the full node. I do think there is potential for them now to have value with these small single board processors like the full node plug that I'm building at the moment. I've got my little work area over here all set up, so I'm making all the disks and everything. And the reason I'm slightly open to persuasion about what Toshi was saying, he's the founder of OKCash, is that the OKCash, because it's proof of stake and because of the way he's doing it, it gives people a way in. If they don't have the ability to mine, it gives them a door through which they can go. So for example, I can give OKCash to Alakanani, or this chap I've just met from Sierra Leone, and he doesn't need to invest in mining equipment just to get into cryptocurrency. We can just send him some OK cash and he can start staking, and then he starts to get, through Shapeshift and other vehicles, he gets a way in. And anything that gets you out of the government-backed fiat, world has got to be a good thing, surely. So I am open to persuasion. But it will, I do think that a lot of the time these are just like casino chips. You just got to be really, really careful with it.
I think Chris makes a good point about Litecoin's eternal quest to get on a second exchange. Many years ago, there was lots of talk of Litecoin getting on Coinbase as well as onto Mt. Gox, and now we're seeing the same kind of talk for Ethereum. They're begging Coinbase, please accept Ethereum. They're begging over and over in public tweets and votes.
Are we gonna do the Ethereum thing? Because I've got a lot of material. What is it with these fucking merry-go-rounds of PR
another show.
I swear to God, I'll just say this one thing, okay? There are this whole industry of public relations people in this industry that have a folder, a binder with the Microsoft Azure press release that, let's get R3 and all the banks to use our blockchain. Then they got this, now we're being used. They've got these ready-made press releases, I shit you not, that are just does nobody else, why is everyone falling for this? It's just such a scam.
Dude, smart contract, man. Microsoft is using it. Microsoft is
building a world computer, and I need to get tokens to use the world computer.
I think I think that we could do a whole show on Microsoft Azure alone. Just that whole topic.
Yeah, okay.
I think
I'm just saying,
it's important to note
Ethereum
that
is just a really funded high school science project, and I'm all in favor of high school science projects, but $50 million really with a massive...
excuse me, are you saying that high school science has no value?
I'm saying it doesn't have $15 million worth of value in a 3,000% markup and a fucking pump and dump and ex-Goldman Sachs
high school science doesn't have value?
Like, Joseph Lubin's a really rich guy, and he's well connected, and whenever I've spoken to anyone that works at Ethereum or Consensus about the guy, they all say he's really secretive and doesn't talk about anything. You know what? Like, if you've got somebody at the top of your organization that isn't being transparent and you know, telling the truth to everyone about what's going on, I think the fish rots from the head down. And this guy is like, I don't know what influenced the price to go up like the way it did, but I don't think it's anything intrinsic to Ethereum, put it that way.
Well, and let's all remember that Ethereum's a token that's supposed to be used for smart contracts. I don't know anyone that's used this token for a smart contract. If you're buying this token to use it for a smart contract, I understand why you're buying it. If you're buying it because you think that because it's a token, it's also a currency, you need to look at the economic background of Ethereum. They can print unlimited units. There was a 60 million Ethereum pre-mine, and we just don't know enough about it. It's not, Bitcoin has a limited number of units. It doesn't have a pre-mine. You have to compare these options when you're choosing what token to use as a currency. And I don't think it's going to be Ethereum. Blake Anderson, let's get back on track. Tone, you can talk a minute.
All right. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go, Blake. Go.
Go ahead, Tone. Go ahead, Tone.
And I was just going to say real quick that, I mean, the Ethereum guys keep talking how they're so much better than Bitcoin and how they're not for speculation, yet like Chris said, they're begging to be on Coinbase, which is as a trading mechanism, which is kind of ridiculous. And I recently attended an Ethereum for Dummies event in New York. It was like, I don't know, it was like several hours long. And then me and Dan Anderson did a whole 1 hour recap on another podcast. So, and I talked about just that, Thomas, about how they created 60 million out of thin air for sale, and I would love to see the numbers, how many they actually sold, and how many the co-founders kept just for themselves. And I don't even know who all the co-founders are. I'm still waiting for my list. No one is able to provide me one. I can name about 10 people off the top of my head, but I know there's more.
Blake Anderson. Going back to altcoins, do you have anything more on altcoins as we try to move forward in the issues here?
Well, I'm going to talk about my own shit that I want to talk about. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about here. Everybody else, it's just, yeah, altcoins. I think that, Vitalik for a long time said the same thing, and it was a very honest and accurate thing that he kept saying. He would go to conferences, and you would look at people that are talking about the Ethereum token, and they would ask him about it, and he would say, look, when you're going to invest in a project like this, your investment really it could be lost. You have to look at it as a way of the people that have put their time into this to get their money back out as the price equalizes so that they can get paid for the work that they've done. Looking at it from that perspective, yes, if you like to support the research that's going on there, dump as much money as you want into it. But what happens is, I don't know if, Vitalik has taken a turn to saying the opposite. I've never seen him come away from the position that I've heard him give, which was tenable, which was, compensate us for research. It's moved away from that to certain people being like, yo, let's, pump and dump or just say that it's going to pass Bitcoin or, all kinds of super crazy shit. And even just recently, somebody was calling me out on my page. They're like, why haven't you said anything about this? And I'm like, I have. On March 2nd, I said that Ether needs a big pump because the foundation is, getting low on money and certain factors are going to drive a pump. And you look at, what happens over the next 30 days, a gigantic, that's a pump. That's exactly what I was trying to call out there. And I don't want to, scream myself hoarse in the streets trying to, shout everybody else that's saying that it's going down, but I also want people to realize sometimes the people shouting the loudest to do something, they have an interest that's maybe not just in delivering information, and you should take that with a grain of salt. And Ethereum recently with the price discussion has gotten to that kind of fervorous level. So yeah, invest in Ethereum if you want people to be able to get money out of it for the contracts. A lot of the use cases for Ethereum end up forking the technology down, so it's a little bit more stable, can do less things, but can do them more well without the risk of some of the other quote unquote scope bloat that's come into it. So I think that altcoins are extremely useful, but there is almost as much of a danger as there is usefulness, and people masquerading around as them being, capable of doing things that they just plain are not, and then conflating scientific value with material market value. It's a very risky and dangerous game.
Gabriel D Vine.
Well, I'm going to say I agree with Theo's breakdown of the altcoin market. That it's primarily four uses: speculation, tech, exploration, experimentation, as a alternate blockchain to Bitcoin in order to extend the functionality of Bitcoin by going off blockchain into another blockchain, and also as a Bitcoin sort of insurance in case of collapse or attack, to have these alternate altcoins. So I do think that they perform a function, although generally it's far, far less than anybody actually working on these altcoins generally states, with the exception of this gentleman Spagni, who is obviously just saying the opposite to get attention to his altcoins. It's kind of transparent in that sense. I do want to point out that the speculation side of the equation includes not only gambling, as you said, betting chips. It's a very useful, way to gamble. In sort of a penny stock type of situation. But speculation in the sense of future possible uses, like the technology for privacy and anonymity is still developing, and that's an important thing that ties together the experimentation and the speculation, and that applies to Ethereum too. It's not really, I don't think it's a valid point to say I don't know anybody who's using Ethereum for smart contracts. Well, of course not. It's a completely nascent technology, and people are speculating that at some time in the future it'll be worth something, just like people were doing in 2010 and 2011 a lot, and even 2013 bubbles in Bitcoin, where yes, it had uses, it was being used, which is more than you can say for a lot of these altcoins, but some giant proportion of the price exchange rate at that time was due to people getting excited about the usefulness of this technology in the future and ascribing monetary value to it. So I think in general altcoins are really good backstop. I think that's a genuine use, where if you only had Bitcoin, then people attacking it would feel much more confident. If you've got infinite other coins that could easily pop up, their technique for suppressing it and attacking it is going to have to be a lot more subtle, and it's a lot harder to kill. So go altcoins. But
I did want to.
I don't know a lot of altcoins.
I did want to jump in and say, you made a comparison to Bitcoin, which was very, very close, but I did want to say that at that time, Bitcoin was programmable money, which was functioning as programmable money, and was being used as programmable money, and was live and in production, as opposed to none of those things being the case with Ethereum.
Yes, that's, yeah. I guess the full... I mean, Ethereum is a functioning cryptocurrency blockchain, of course, but yeah, the full suite of features, of course,
with lots and lots of checkpoints. It's not a stable. Right. It's not in a stable state, and you've got very rapid. This is Joseph Lubin, by the way. This is his LinkedIn account, and he's the COO of Consensus. And if you just take a look down at his previous history, he was the VP of technology at a company called Goldman Sachs. You can look them up. You'll find some interesting stuff on them. And then what you've got after sort of 2001, this is a long time ago, bearing in mind, he then sort of gets a job as director in New York office at Blacksmith Technologies, very vague sounding. And then you have this almost 10-year gap in his CV. And I've been trying to find out, like, what's in this gap? What's this sort of 9-year gap that he's got in his CV? I don't think that when, I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark, when you become like a VP at Goldman Sachs, I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark, but that's never something you ever really walk away from. Like, you never leave that industry once you get into that industry. You make a lot of friends with lots of amounts of money, friends that can, for example, and I'm just opining now, could, for example, take a little shit coin with low liquidity on an exchange and make the price go up thousands and thousands of percentage points over a course of a few months. That could, let's just say, liquidate a very ailing foundation that has no money because they overspent it on marketing people. For example, I'm just opining. I'm not saying this is true. I'm just opining. So yeah, you should definitely be asking. I encourage everyone who watches the show to ask hard questions of Joseph Lubin. I have been told by members of Ethereum and Consensus that he's very secretive and he doesn't talk about it. When I meet someone like that in a position of authority, I say, no fucking way, you don't get to be all silent like that. You do have to be transparent, like anonymity for the weak, but accountability for the strong, as Julian Assange often says. And I think that when you've got somebody like him who's got lots of money, I think you do need to be keeping them, you know, on their toes. So do that.
Hey, Chris, let me jump in there for 1 second because I was also a VP at an investment bank. Now, it wasn't Goldman Sachs, it was JP Morgan. And I know I taunt around my VP at JP Morgan because it helps me, you know, helps my background. But honestly, it wasn't a big deal. I'm sure Goldman might take their titles a little more seriously, but becoming a VP at a Bear Stearns, at a JP Morgan, at a Lehman Brothers, I know two of them don't exist anymore. It really wasn't a big deal at all. It's the next level up that's really important, and that would be a managing director.
I do have to say that from my experience at Wells Fargo, when they acquired Wachovia, we acquired so many VPs, I was like, that title is everybody at this company.
Right, and that's it really doesn't take much. It just takes, you know, competence, like 5 years. If you have a master's degree and 5 good years of employment without, you know, screwing up, you should make a VP at these companies. But the next level up, that's the one that's actually interesting. And one other quick point I was gonna say that I'm trying to remember real quick. Besides the VP on something you said, and I'm now drawing a blank.
Well,
so,
you know, just like how do you drive that much liquidity into an illiquid market, and then what, you just happen to have this really rich dude who's well invested into Ethereum? I'm speculating here, but I'm guessing that's not a coincidence.
Yeah, I don't want to speculate. I don't know what happened. So I don't know. I don't know how rich he is. Again, he's a private guy. I don't know that much about him myself.
I want to talk about him until we push the absolute limit of free speech.
I'd like to just point out that not all altcoins are built the same. Not all of them are built on this. You know, are Bitcoin variants or clones. You know, the prime example being MadeSafe Network, which is not live yet or anything. It doesn't exist yet. This SafeCoin. They have a token pre-sale that will be, you know, exchangeable for it. But their crypto is completely different. It's the design has been around longer. It has no blockchain involved with it. It's totally not traceable. So it's more like a cash, and it's also not divisible. It's a very different type of thing. People call it an altcoin because it's, you know, valued on the market, and it is, you know, a cryptocurrency, but it's not blockchain based. So interesting, you know, there are other whatever confidential transactions and all sorts of other different technologies too that are included in the altcoin umbrella.
Oh,
well,
guys, sorry.
I for one was told that Dogecoin was going to the moon, and I plan on holding my breath until we get there. Exit question. What's your favorite altcoin? Just tell me in one word, because we got to go on to the next topic. We're running out of time. Tone Vays, go ahead and finish your idea, and then tell us your favorite altcoin.
I was going to say, back in 2011, when Chris was saying that people did speculate on Bitcoin, they speculated on Bitcoin after Bitcoin had usages. It was already being used to donate money to WikiLeaks, and Chuck Schumer blew it up all over the Silk Road issue. So all the speculation came after there was a use case, which is not what's happening in any of these other ones. I no longer have a favorite altcoin. The last time I was on the show, I said Dash. Now that I've learned a little more about the Instamine and how it all went to Evan, I am no longer a fan of that one either. So I have no favorite altcoin whatsoever.
Chris, Ellis.
Bitcoin. Bitcoin is an altcoin, remember. It's an alternative currency to the fiat banking system.
Theo Goodman.
Oh, my favorite altcoin is Litecoin because it's so innovative and so high tech, and I really like all of the extra features.
In Charlie Lee we trust. Blake Anderson.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm going to say, I'm not emotional. It goes between either Ether and Litecoin. Ether has a lot of working against it because of what people say, but as far as just, no emotions, whichever one is more stable when I want to step out of Bitcoin for a moment around an event that I know is coming for trading, then whatever I trade to is my favorite altcoin at that time, and then, the utility is the pure measure of that. So right now I think it would probably be Ethereum by that measure, but Litecoin.
Gabriel D Vine.
Well, until we have free energy and alchemical transmutation, I think that rare earths are a good altcoin.
And the answer is Bitcoin. Chris stole my answer. Bitcoin is the best altcoin. Issue 4. Venezuelan state-owned television launched an anti-Bitcoin campaign on their website this week, claiming that Bitcoin is the ideal currency of the dark side of the internet, and that Bitcoin is a haven for drug dealers, rapists, and criminals. It is no coincidence that Venezuela's currency is experiencing hyperinflation, and its people have no choice but to spend their paychecks immediately to avoid the inflation, while their savings has been completely wiped out. No choice, that is, except Bitcoin. Chris Ellis, are they fighting us now? Who will win?
Wait, rapists? How do rapists make bitcoins? Do they charge for the rape? Is it like, I'm going to rape you, but you got to pay me bitcoins now? Like, how does that work?
It's bit rape, and it's not a joke.
Oh, wait, you're not misquoting Donald Trump, are you? He made the comment about, like, Mexicans sending rapists over
Stop
the
being
border.
sexist.
That's terrible. Make America great again.
I heard Donald Trump. He said like the Mexicans were sending rapists over the border, and they needed to pay for this wall.
He also qualified that some of them are good people.
Well, he said that the people that break the law are coming over because they have a record that makes them rapists or whatever, which is very
I'm sorry, but that's the
controversial.
equivalent of somebody saying, "I'm not racist. I have lots of black friends." I'm sorry.
I'm not racist. I have lots of black friends.
Yeah, I'm not heterophobic. I've got lots of straight friends. I have. Yeah. So we have I have met quite a lot of people from Venezuela in the forums and so on, and I think that Bitcoin and these cryptocurrencies has been popular there already for quite some time. And as I understood it back when I was working at Feathercoin, we did have a chap there that was from Venezuela who told me that there was a black market for dollars, that you weren't really supposed to trade in dollars, but people were. So there was an appetite there, as we know there is in Brazil also. So yeah, of course they're going to be not happy about this. Like, what on earth did you expect?
Theo Goodman.
Well, the article is not so far off. Bitcoin is great for drug dealers, dark market, and about anything that the government can't control. That's true. That's correct. Now the rapist thing, I don't really get either, but you got to throw in, it actually, I mean, it could be partially propaganda, but at the media sources, they got to get clicks to get people to visit the website, to click on the ads and the affiliate links. So you got to include something that's going to make you click. So Bitcoin, the currency of drug dealers. That's not interesting enough. But if you throw in some kind of like violence, drugs, illegal, and other random stuff, then you're going to cover about everything, and you're going to get enough traffic to make money. So it kind of relates to the other topic we had today, and it's not entirely wrong, but I really don't see how rapists are going to use Bitcoin. This is a new dimension of media, and let's see if the Western mainstream media catches on this clickbait story and we see the rape in Bitcoin.
Mr. Bitcoin, tear down that wall. Blake Anderson.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, we already know the use cases for the Silk Road and for drugs and stuff like that. But let's say that I'm a vicious, completely intelligent rapist, and I'm going to go and do some drug-fueled raping in Venezuela. Like, if you want to use Bitcoin for things that don't involve a violation of negative rights, where there's like a hard crime that people are going to be like, woo, look, something really bad happened here. There's a lot of reason for people to bring attention to it and to start looking at what happened and trace things back. You do not want to get Bitcoin involved in that situation. You want to get some filthy cash and go and, you know, go through tunnels and change cars and stuff and do that. I mean, if you're going to do a deal with Bitcoin that involves nobody being pissed off at all and try to, like, hide behavior that's not going to trigger anybody to come and look at stuff unless, you know, something really weird happens, like, that's a use case that's kind of fine for that. If you're going to go out and violate people's rights and rape them, you honestly do not want to get Bitcoin involved in that at all, because at some point, if somebody can point back to any of the things that happened and they can start to trace things back to you, it's going to be an orgy of evidence that's going to lead back to all kinds of things that you've done. And it's just a very, 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 like, the opposite is true relative to what the Venezuelan paper said. And I guess that's probably par for the course. If they had been telling the Venezuelan people the truth, they'd be saying diversify. You know, collectivist monetary policy is not really going to be economically viable. If you don't want your kids to starve, probably go and, you know, don't invest long term in our bullshit. But they don't, and they don't care about their people. So it's very sad.
Gabriel D Vine.
I think this is an excellent sign for Bitcoin. It's wonderful to see that it's finally being attacked by these crooked governments. Of course, it starts at the bottom with the worst socialist offenders of monetary policy, egregious behavior. And it's just fantastic. I think the more that governments attack Bitcoin, the better it is for Bitcoin. It's a wonderful thing to see. People don't trust government, even in the U.S., which still has a relatively good reputation among the American people. It's still so much lower than it has been ever at any time in the past, the respect for government. So you know, when a disrespected authority you know, says X is good and Y is bad, of course the public knows, oh wow, X must be terrible and Y is probably awesome. So it's just wonderful. I'm so glad we're seeing a more direct propaganda against Bitcoin because, you know, it's such a small economy still. They don't feel that threatened, but Venezuela is teetering so close to the edge, and their policies are so fucked up that you know, they have to lash out at whatever they can to basically, you know, what the rape thing is, you know, is they're raping the people. So of course all of these things are projections of what they're doing, and it's just fantastic. I hope we see a lot more direct attacks on Bitcoin from governments around the world. I hope this is heralding a new phase, and I actually think it is. It's going to be wonderful to see that happening over the next 6-7 years. Or longer, probably, you know, as the power of these governments wane in the face of you know, the people.
And what's interesting too is I kind of threw back before to defending the undefendable, and slander and libel are some of the things that are undefendable, really, kind of, but they don't really kill anybody. So, like, what kind of law should there be? And since Bitcoin cannot ever establish its right to making itself whole from libel or slander, people can say anything that they want about it. So in a long enough term view, people are going to say, well, people say all kinds of crazy shit about Bitcoin. Which of it is true and which of it isn't? Because, again, there is nothing that you can't say about Bitcoin, which leaves it to the individual to decide for themselves what's tenable and what isn't, which is almost an ideal situation in a way that you wouldn't conclude instantly.
Tone Vays.
All right, I'm not going to focus on one word that clearly didn't belong in that article, mostly because whoever wrote the article probably didn't even know what Bitcoin was. So he just threw in all the bad stuff he ever knows about into just one headline. But it was funny how we just went full circle. And you guys, in answer to this question, we're talking about clickbait. So I hope everyone is clickbaiting in Venezuela and getting crypto lockers, so then they have to go out and buy Bitcoin so they understand how real currency works, which would be great. Other than that, I completely agree with Gabriel that the governments are about to start doing all the hard work for us by saying all the bad things that Bitcoin does. Meanwhile, doing all these things brings you more freedom and takes power away from governments. So the more they scream about how it's a way to avoid taxes, the more people will avoid taxes, and the less destruction. The less money governments will have to cause destruction around the world, or to be destructive to their own citizens. And it is going to start with the most socialist communist governments, and then it's going to spread to the edges. Hopefully, there'll be one or two nations that are being a little more open-minded. But all these countries are in groupthink. They all think they can rule us. They just think about it in different ways. And these attack ads are going to come. I think it's going to get worse. I think it's going to get a lot worse. I'm very pessimistic on the way governments are going to treat Bitcoin and how hostile they're going to be to Bitcoin. And I think all these organizations that try to work with government and try to smooth this transition, I think it's not only hopeless and a waste of time, I think it's dangerous. I think they're putting themselves and the users that are interacting with these government agents at risk of their being financially ruined or criminally.
My dream is that there will be a war on Bitcoin. Because as soon as you declare war on something and you don't completely eradicate it, which nobody can with Bitcoin, you automatically are going to make it stronger and make it live forever. Nothing would help the Bitcoin ecosystem more than a war on Bitcoin. And I'm hoping this is the first salvo.
Yeah, the decentralized incentive system is like a Chinese finger trap. The more attention that's paid to it, I mean, the more you're pushing your fingers in.
Exit question: which country will be disrupted by Bitcoin next? Chris Ellis.
Botswana.
Theo Goodman.
United States of America.
Blake Anderson.
What, like majorly disrupted or like marginally disrupted? I think Canada will be marginally disrupted by Bitcoin in the coming days.
Gabriel D Vine.
I'm going to go with Blake on that, Canada.
Tone Vays.
The United Socialist States of Europe. No offense.
I'm sticking with Theo, United States of America. Let's move on to predictions or story of the week.
Greatest country in the world.
Blake Anderson, are you ready with a prediction or a story of the week?
Yes, the prediction or story of the week. I guess I kind of wanted to throw it back to philosophy a little bit. The philosophy of science. You got to ask, why do these metrics that are coming out of science, why are they useful to us? Is this cherry-picked data? Is this going to feed into a macro information set that makes sense, or is this going to be cherry-picked nonsense that people are going to use to try to fool me? So I guess the philosophy of science when applied to Bitcoin says that stuff like this, like Bitcoin not bombs, like let's actually try to fix monetary policy and make it so that Mr. Good Bank isn't going to be writing IOUs and making it so that we can't store money. That has an amazingly massive value proposition. The full stack of monetary policy all the way down to being able to transact that money and knowing that that's not going to be messed up because it's so hard to fork over to Bitcoin Classic right away. Well, that's good. I mean, if it fills up and starts to get too slow to the point where it's not, easy to be workable, the node holders and the users will move over to something else, just like the monetary policy of the United States probably doesn't roll over until it, comes to a head and needs to be messed with. Don't mess it up when it's don't mess it up and try to fix it if it's working. So keep in mind the macro conclusions of Bitcoin to interrupt that and to suspend war. And if you're going to be investing in altcoins, make sure that you are doing your research and know what you're doing, and don't get pulled into investing in an altcoin for kind of almost reasons that are to the moon or too shallow, and end up almost kind of being promoted by your ideology to do something, and then kind of overextending how much money you want to make, and then getting taken to the cleaners. That happens a lot to people, and I don't want to see any of my good Bitcoin friends fall into that trap. So that's my story of the week. Is remember the goal, everybody. Invest long term and keep your head about you.
Gabriel D Vine.
I was going to do Venezuela as my story of the week, but we already went over that. So I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to say the worldwide economy will be entering a depression this year based on the back of central bank-induced monetary expansion, and that it will last until Bitcoin pulls it out.
Tone Vays.
I'm going to go with what Microsoft did yesterday, which I thought was hilarious. They designed an AI for Twitter Her name was Tay. She was supposed to be a teenage girl, and just look it up. It was hilarious, and it runs into the situation where people will try to attack your creation, and it has to be resistant proof. Within 24 hours, they had to take down this bot because the social media can be really rough, and this applies to all these things. When people talk about smart contracts and how easy it's going to be, it's not. It's going to be really difficult, and people don't realize the kind of perverse incentives that there will be when you tokenize your project, which, again, I don't want to harp back on Ethereum, but you just don't know what kind of consequences you're going to have when there are competing interests. And in the case of this AI, the competing interest was, how can we get this robot to admit the craziest things, like Holocaust didn't happen, or try to convince it that it's supposed to be like a sex robot. It was a very interesting dynamic of what people will do that you can't really code for because you don't know how the way the masses will take it.
Well, arguably, it worked, and it worked too well. It did what it wanted. They said, we want to have it emulate an attention-seeking social mediaite, and it got so much attention so fast that they were forced to turn it off. I'd say that was an overwhelming success, that was amazing, that was awesome.
Not what they were really going for, though.
Exactly.
So
they didn't program it. It's like asking an oracle the wrong question, being like, oh, super powerful oracle, I want to know this, and then getting slapped in the mouth and be like, oh, shit, I should have asked more carefully.
Right.
Moving on, Chris Ellis.
Yeah, this is the article you want. Microsoft creates an AI bot, internet immediately turns it racist. And I have to keep reminding it, but this isn't my story of the week, but I also found this really interesting, and obviously Swift on security, Taylor Swift actually got really involved in it, and some of her old prophecies are coming true. That she once said, machines are a mirror with which we will watch our own extermination, all of that good stuff. Remember that the word art in artificial is there for a reason. It's because artificial intelligence is created by an artist. It comes from the mind of an inventor, and really, like this Go stuff, like this player that was beaten at Go by this machine, it was just really a mob. It was a gang of engineers who ganged up on him with a project of dictionary of moves in a game called Go that they compiled over many, many years. And there was no way this poor chap stood a chance against a whole team of engineers who'd spent years.
He beat it again, though.
He rallied and he did win a game.
He beat it again.
He won a game, yeah, but he didn't win the match.
Oh, okay, that's true, I guess.
He lost 4-1 or something, right? Anyway,
he was incredibly confident beforehand, too. It's very sad.
Right, there was no way he was going to win because it was loads and loads of engineers and a bunch of research, millions of dollars of research against one lone human being.
Well, and remember the first time that the computer beat Kasparov, they used grandmasters to specifically target Kasparov's strategies. It wasn't necessarily a general computer. It was a Kasparov beating computer.
Right.
So it's not like the internet. It's a focused effort.
Yeah. So anyway, the point is this isn't a machine beating anyone. It's humans beating other humans. They're just using the machines as an automation process, as a way of extending their intention through time and space. Anyway, so yeah, full node update. I'm building them this weekend. I've got the computers all building blockchains. I've got 2 memory sticks plugged into this one. As you can see, copying the blockchain data. It writes to every single sector on the disk. That hasn't shown up so well, but if you could see it would have lots of really cool metrics on it. It writes to every single sector on the disk so that if there are any errors to be found on the memory cards that I distribute, that they will be located before I send them out. And I haven't had anyone, touch wood, send any back so far. I also tested this little 128 gigabyte device. I showed one similar to it that's released by Samsung. This is a SanDisk one, and I'm sorry to reveal to you that it really just failed. It didn't pass the stress test. It got really, really hot really quickly. It kept ejecting itself, unmounting itself, and then remounting, so I'm going to have to send this back. But I do love these things. I did get one a few months ago when we first started the project. They were about 50 to 60 pounds then. They are now down to about 30 pounds now, which is almost the same price as what this was when we first started the project. So you can see how the form factor, these are both 128 gigabytes. These both store the blockchain. In fact, this one is faster. This is USB 3, this is USB 2. So this one is faster. You can see Crider's law right in front of your very eyes. This is now the same price this was when we first started the full node project back in December. It's now March. That's Crider's law. The other thing I want to tell you, you know that I was testing out the Anchor solar panel. This is a relatively new one. It's a 21 watt, it's a 3-panel device, monocrystalline solar panel. It's made by a company called Anchor, who also make the USB cables that I supply with the full nodes. I can now vouch for this product. I've been using it for a couple of days. Today was a very sunny day in southeast England, and I generated 3 milliamp hours, right? Sorry, 3 amp hours, 3,000 milliamp hours. I beg your pardon. On a day of pretty much just a bright blue sky, a little bit of broken cloud now and again. I did have to move it throughout the day to orientate it towards the sun. But I got, you know, that's going to power a Raspberry Pi for a pretty. I didn't attach a Raspberry Pi directly to the solar panel yet. I'll do that tomorrow or Sunday if it's sunny. But I did manage to generate enough current to run a Raspberry Pi for several hours. Actually, this will power it now. This has got enough charge in it. And that's one day of sunshine, 21 watts. This costs £30, and it's very light. It folds up. Not paid by the company, by the way. Folds up into that kind of form factor. And then I've just been using it. I've just got this, and I just hung it from, you know, anything that I could find to hang it from, so to get the best sunlight. So I'm looking into, and I'm doing a lot of research into these kinds of extra tools and kits that I would like to set up a little shop for, so that when people buy the full node, you can then mod your full node. I'm also putting drivers on the OS, the full node OS, that mean that you can use it with the various screens that you can buy, because a lot of these screens, when you buy them, they're not plug and play. You have to like go to the manufacturer's website, you have to like do a wget and then pack a tarball and then, like, you know, move the files everywhere. So I wanted to try and get all the drivers onto the full node OS, so that anyone who wants to can plug their Bitcoin full node into a screen. So that's really where I am. Each device takes about 6 hours to make, and I'm only a few devices in, and I know I've got a very pressing deadline, so I'm going to be all over it this Easter. And thanks very much again for everyone's support, and we'll be doing more updates as things progress.
Very good. Theo Goodman.
I guess the story of the week is Mark Hunt knocking out Frank Mir in round 1 at the last UFC. And after that, also we have something interesting. You know, Roger Ver said that he will donate $10,000 in Bitcoin to a charity if Bernie Sanders debates Adam Kotkach.
I think it was 50.
100,000. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's 100,000.
Good thing you corrected me. 100,000 for him to debate him. I mean, I don't know what would really come out of it, but I'll get the popcorn.
It's already been done. Jan Helfeld already did it. It's a hysterical video. If you Google Jan Helfeld, Bernie Sanders, it's so funny to watch Bernie crumble after like one question.
Okay. Well, you know, that's the story of the week, and you know, why? Let's just, if you're going to do that, then just invite Trump or whoever to make a big spectacle out of it. And that's all it is anyway. I mean, come on, let's get real, people, you know. So it's just a big spectacle. Let's all get some popcorn, you know, and I think Trump would probably do it. So just, you know, challenge him too. And, you know, let's get this thing going, and everyone, you know, get their ass in gear, and we'll get some popcorn and watch that. We can do it live, World Crypto Network, and, you know, we can have live commentary on the debate, or how silly it is. But I think it would be a good spectacle, and you know, let's do it. Let's see these people live on air, how they react, like in a kind of live streaming situation.
Do you think that it would be good to just completely eject Hillary from the race, given that she doesn't have any support and that the ideas can't really be talked about with her just copying Bernie?
Well, I don't want to get into like I don't really care so much about that, but so I did, like, you can, I think it's still active, the poll. You can check my Twitter, @TheOG_. I did do a poll. Who are you voting for? What are you voting for? Excuse me. #election 2016. Walls, free stuff, mashed potatoes, or going to church. So mashed potatoes is Hillary Clinton because it's like, what does she stand for? Not much. It's just like mashed potatoes. Church is Cruz. Free stuff is Bernie. And of course, Walls is Trump. So you can fill out that poll, and we can do, a nice futuristic poll on the prediction, and I'll use that data on Agar to predict the election. Thanks a lot.
Very good. And I didn't get a chance to write a prediction this week, so instead I came up with this story of the week here at the last minute. My story of the week is the Blockchain Madness Student Tournament, put on by the recently renamed College Crypto Network, which is now the Blockchain Education Network.
Woo!
It's a tournament of trivia all about blockchain and Bitcoin. It's kind of like Jeopardy. It's kind of like College Trivia Bowl, and you guys can check it out. It's sponsored by Purse.io, so it's very nice to say, but it's very cool stuff from the Blockchain Education Network.
Tone is really excited.
He's excited. He wants to go to this.
I saw. Oh crap! Am I on mute?
It looks like Google's allowing the mute to. You're allowed to talk through the mute now. So.
Oh, I am.
It's part of the new cruelty.
All right. I can't believe they rebranded. Oh my God! This word blockchain is just like taking over. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I thought at least the World Crypto Network was smart enough not to just jump on board with this whole blockchain narrative. But hey,
we're actually changing the name. You didn't get the memo. We're going to change from World Crypto
World
Network
Blockchain Network.
No, wait a minute,
Just
guys.
blockchain.
Blockchain is so 2015. These people are totally out of it.
Distributed.
Merkeldag.
Yes.
Merkeldag.
What a bunch
World.
of
Okay, I
nothing.
like that. What is it? Merkel. What is it again, Chris? Come again.
Merkeldag. The new trend is going to be Merkeldag.
So World Merkeldag Network, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here
You
first.
can just go with Merkel Direct Acyclic Graph, which is what DAG stands for.
Okay, so basically, if you're the people that have the Bank of England in your sales funnel, sell them that.
Yeah, start pitching them. Like you got to massage them early and often. Like every other day, be like, "Yo, Merkel Day." It's like.
Got to start off with the Horizon scanners. That's actually a real profession.
I have this feeling that that on episode 100, it's not going to be the Bitcoin group. It's going to be the blockchain group. Oh God, please don't do this to us, Thomas.
It's just going to be blockchain.
This is the digital ledger space technology, and we're
Distributed ledger space.
We'll get Matt Damon. He'll just go blockchain, and that'll be.
and
the
we're
show.
running out of time. But at least we had one of those classic McLaughlin group moments where everyone talked over each other, and it was just great. But my battery is going to die. I need to go back to work. It's still the middle of the day here. But thanks to everyone for watching. We're out of time. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.